Discipline is often mistaken for a feeling, something that arrives when motivation is high and disappears when energy is low. This misunderstanding causes most people to fail before they even begin. Discipline is not an emotional state. It is a trainable skill. Like strength, balance, or coordination, it develops through correct practice over time. When you rely on mood, your actions become unstable. When you rely on skill, your actions become consistent. A skill does not require inspiration to function. You do not wait to feel motivated to walk, write, or speak. You perform these actions because the nervous system has been trained through repetition. Discipline works the same way. It is built when you repeatedly do what must be done, regardless of how you feel in the moment. Over time, the body and mind learn the pattern and begin to cooperate instead of resist. Structure is the foundation of this training. Without structure, the mind negotiates. It asks questions, creates excuses, and delays action. Structure removes uncertainty. When your day is organized, decisions are minimized. You wake up at the same time. You train at the same time. You work at the same time. This predictability may appear rigid, but in reality, it creates freedom. When there is no debate, energy is conserved and focus increases. Repetition is what transforms effort into identity. The first time you act with discipline, it feels heavy. The 10th time, it feels familiar. The 100th time, it feels natural. This is how discipline becomes unbreakable. Not through intensity, but through consistency. Small actions repeated daily shape behavior far more effectively than occasional bursts of extreme effort. The body learns through repetition, not through intention. Awareness is what prevents discipline from becoming blind force. Without awareness, discipline turns into self-punishment. With awareness, it becomes intelligent training. Awareness allows you to observe resistance without obeying it. You notice the discomfort, the laziness, the emotional fluctuation, but you do not identify with it. You act anyway, calmly and deliberately. This separation between feeling and action is a mark of maturity. Motivation is unreliable because it depends on emotion. Emotion changes with sleep, environment, success, and failure. If your discipline depends on how you feel, it will collapse under pressure. Skill-based discipline does not argue with emotion. It acknowledges emotion and proceeds regardless. This is why disciplined people appear calm. They are not fighting themselves, they are trained. Over time, this approach reshapes self-respect. Every time you act according to structure instead of mood, you reinforce trust in yourself. You prove that your word has weight. This internal trust becomes confidence, not the loud kind, but the quiet certainty that you can rely on yourself in difficult moments. Discipline as a skill does not demand perfection. It demands return. When you fail, you do not collapse into guilt or self-criticism. You return to the structure. This is how progress remains uninterrupted. The disciplined person is not the one who never falls, but the one who stands up without drama. When discipline is trained correctly, it stops feeling like control and starts feeling like alignment. Your actions match your values, your life becomes orderly, and in that order, strength naturally grows. The mind is not trained through thinking alone. It is trained through the body. Many attempt to control thoughts directly, only to become frustrated when the mind resists. This resistance exists because the mind follows the state of the body. When the body is weak, restless, or collapsed, the mind mirrors that condition. When the body is aligned, stable, and controlled, the mind naturally becomes clearer and calmer. Posture is the first lesson in self-command. The way you hold your body communicates instructions to the nervous system. A collapsed posture signals fatigue, insecurity, and passivity. An upright, grounded posture signals readiness and stability. This is not symbolic, it is physiological. When the spine is aligned and the chest is open, breathing improves, circulation increases, and awareness sharpens. Without changing a single thought, the internal state begins to shift. Breath is the bridge between body and mind. You may not be able to control thoughts directly, but you can always control your breathing. Shallow, rapid breath feeds anxiety and impulsive behavior. Slow, deep, controlled breath calms the nervous system and sharpens focus. When practiced daily, breath control teaches the mind patience. It trains you to remain present under pressure instead of reacting automatically. Physical training is not about appearance or performance. It is about discipline and regulation. When you engage in daily physical practice, whether stretching, strength work, or controlled movement, you place yourself into voluntary resistance. This resistance reveals the mind's habits. Excuses arise, discomfort appears, restlessness grows. Each session becomes a mirror showing how you respond to challenge. If you learn to stay steady in the body, the mind follows. Consistency in physical practice builds emotional stability. Emotions often feel overwhelming because the body lacks regulation. Regular training grounds excess energy and releases stored tension. Over time, emotional reactions lose intensity. You do not become emotionless, you become balanced. You feel without being controlled. This balance is not achieved by suppression, but by channeling energy through disciplined movement. The body also teaches humility. Progress in physical training is slow and honest. There are no shortcuts. Strength is earned through repetition. Flexibility comes through patience. This process conditions the mind to accept gradual improvement instead of demanding instant results. Impatience fades, endurance grows. These qualities transfer directly into mental work and life challenges. Training the body daily also restores rhythm. Modern life disrupts natural cycles through irregular sleep, constant stimulation, and prolonged sitting. Physical practice reconnects you to effort and recovery, tension and release. This rhythm stabilizes the nervous system, making the mind less reactive and more resilient. Control does not mean force. Forcing the body creates injury and resistance. Control means awareness, precision, and restraint. You learn when to push and when to hold back. This intelligence carries into decision-making. You stop acting impulsively. You move with intention. As mastery over the body increases, self-respect grows. You begin to trust yourself because you witness your ability to endure discomfort without escaping. This trust quiets inner doubt. Mental strength is not aggressive, it is composed. It is the ability to remain steady regardless of circumstances. When the body is trained daily, the mind no longer needs constant management. Clarity becomes natural. Stability becomes the default. By controlling the body with awareness and discipline, you train the mind without struggle. Inner power does not come from accumulation. It comes from subtraction. Most people feel weak not because they lack ability, but because their energy is scattered across too many directions. When attention is divided, strength is diluted. Simplicity gathers energy. It concentrates effort. It allows the mind to move with precision instead of confusion. Distractions are the first layer of excess. Constant notifications, endless content, and unnecessary stimulation fragment attention. Each distraction pulls the mind outward, training it to react instead of choose. When this becomes habitual, focus weakens and discipline collapses. Removing distractions is not about isolation, it is about protecting attention. Attention is finite. Where it goes, life follows. Excuses are another form of excess. They clutter the mind with justifications that prevent action. Excuses often sound reasonable, but their function is the same: delay and avoidance. When you simplify your inner dialogue, excuses lose their power. There is less conversation, less negotiation, and more action. Simplicity creates directness. You see what must be done, and you do it. Unnecessary desires drain strength. Desire itself is not the problem. Uncontrolled desire is. Wanting too many outcomes at once creates restlessness. When you chase comfort, approval, or quick rewards, consistency suffers. Simplicity means choosing fewer goals and committing to them fully. This commitment deepens focus and builds endurance. Energy that was once scattered becomes concentrated and effective. A simple life supports consistent habits. When your environment is cluttered, your routines become inconsistent. When your schedule is overloaded, priorities blur. By simplifying your surroundings and obligations, you create space for discipline. The mind functions best when it knows what matters and what does not. Clarity is not found by adding more information, but by removing what is irrelevant. Simplicity also strengthens self-control. When options are limited, decision fatigue disappears. You are no longer tempted at every moment. This reduces internal conflict and preserves willpower. The disciplined person does not rely on constant self-control. They design a life that requires less of it. This design is an act of intelligence, not restriction. Emotionally, simplicity brings calm. Excess stimulation amplifies emotional swings. Silence and order stabilize them. When the external world is quiet, the internal world becomes audible. You begin to notice patterns in your thoughts and reactions. This awareness allows correction. Without simplicity, these patterns remain hidden beneath noise. Simplicity is often resisted because it feels like loss. In truth, it is refinement. You are not giving up strength. You are removing what weakens you. When distractions fall away, concentration sharpens. When excuses are dropped, accountability rises. When unnecessary desires are released, peace grows. Over time, simplicity builds inner authority. You become less influenced by trends, opinions, and external pressure. Your actions are guided by principle rather than impulse. This independence is power. It allows you to move steadily while others are constantly pulled off course. Inner power is quiet. It does not seek attention. It is felt as steadiness, clarity, and resolve. This power grows naturally when life is simplified. By removing excess, you allow your true capacity to surface, focused, consistent, and strong. Freedom is commonly misunderstood as comfort, ease, and the absence of resistance. In reality, comfort weakens freedom. When life becomes too easy, the mind loses tolerance for difficulty, and even small challenges feel overwhelming. True freedom is the ability to face resistance without being controlled by it. This ability is built through daily struggle chosen consciously, not imposed by circumstance. Voluntary discomfort is different from suffering. Suffering is uncontrolled and reactive. Voluntary struggle is intentional and structured. When you choose to train, wake early, remain disciplined, or endure physical, mental effort, you place yourself in a controlled challenge. This challenge strengthens you instead of breaking you. Each time you choose effort over ease, you expand your capacity. Daily struggle trains resilience. Resilience is not toughness for its own sake, it is adaptability under pressure. When discomfort becomes familiar, fear loses its grip. The body learns that stress is survivable. The mind learns that difficulty passes. Over time, challenges that once caused avoidance become manageable. This reduces anxiety and increases confidence in your ability to endure. Self-respect is forged in these moments. You do not build self-respect by thinking positively or seeking validation. You build it by keeping promises to yourself when it is difficult. Every time you complete a task you wanted to avoid, you reinforce trust in your own word. This trust becomes inner stability. You no longer need external approval because you know who you are through action. Daily struggle also sharpens discipline. Discipline grows strongest when tested regularly. If discipline is rarely challenged, it remains fragile. By exposing yourself to controlled discomfort every day, you condition yourself to act despite resistance. This removes dependence on motivation. Action becomes automatic, guided by principle rather than feeling. Choosing discomfort also clarifies values. When effort is required, what truly matters becomes obvious. Trivial desires fall away, focus increases, struggle simplifies priorities, it forces presence. In discomfort, the mind cannot wander endlessly, it must engage fully with the moment. This engagement builds awareness and precision. There is also a deep psychological shift that occurs. When you regularly face discomfort, you stop identifying as fragile. You no longer see yourself as someone who needs ideal conditions to function. You become reliable to yourself. This reliability is freedom. You are no longer a prisoner of mood, fear, or circumstance. Avoiding struggle creates hidden chains. Dependence on comfort limits choice. Fear of difficulty dictates behavior. Life becomes reactive. In contrast, embracing daily struggle expands choice. You act because you decide to, not because conditions are favorable. This autonomy is the essence of freedom. Importantly, struggle must be balanced and intelligent. Excessive force leads to burnout. The purpose is not to punish yourself, but to strengthen yourself. The struggle should be challenging enough to demand effort, yet controlled enough to sustain consistency. Small daily challenges are more powerful than rare extreme ones. Over time, what once felt uncomfortable becomes normal. The mind adapts, the body adapts, discipline stabilizes. In this stability, freedom emerges, not as escape from effort, but as mastery within it. Daily struggle chosen willingly transforms effort into strength and discipline into liberation.